Obviously been great to get back on the field with our guys. They're working really hard. Really been pleased with their progress, going through the fifth practice today. Obviously Sam's not going this spring. So, getting B. Lou going and JT and Drew Carter, it's been fun working with those guys. And just obviously, getting those guys back for another year with the receivers and the offensive line, running backs, and the tight ends. Been really pleased with the progress we're making. It's been good work so far.
All right, then. Who's got the first question for Coach Schiff? Let's go with Justin Guerrero.
What's up, Coach? Appreciate you taking a few minutes. We certainly got a really good glimpse into Brendan Rice last year, and I'm just curious with a number of those other 2020 guys like Keith, Montana, and Chris, just what you've seen from them in terms of their growth, their development from last season to now, starting into spring.
Yeah, obviously with Brendan Rice, you saw glimpses of really, really greatness last year with him in certain games. I think he's going to be a guy that continues to improve. Been really, really pleased with the other guys. Chris Carpenter, it has dynamic speed and really good short area quickness. I think he's really kind of taken the next step. So has Montana Lamonius Craig. His growth has been really, really good. His growth has been really, really good from year one to year two. And even Keith Miller, Keith Miller's a 6'4", 215-pound, young man who has gotten faster. He's gotten stronger. I'm really pleased with that 2020 receiving core. It reminds me of, like I told you guys before, it reminds me when we signed LaVisca, KD, Maurice Bell, and Jalen Jackson. That was a really good group we signed and back in, I think it was 17. And this group, to me, has a chance to be really good.
Brian Howell.
Hey, Coach. It's nice to see you. I hope you and your family are doing well. I wanted to go off of Justin's question a little bit. I know some of these guys have been here for a number of years, like Jalen and Maurice Bell. But with KD moving on, does it almost feel like a little bit of a turning of the page in some ways because there's not as much production coming back as there has been in recent years?
Yeah, what's crazy if you think about last year, Dimitri and Levante were, I think, were the two leading receivers, I believe, last year. And so, obviously KD was hampered with the hamstring, which hurt him last year. But yeah, it's a little bit of a turn of a page, but you really see, KD, is an alpha. He's an alpha male. So he kind of owned that room. And, since he's moved on, those other guys have really stepped into their own. I've seen growth from Levante. I've seen growth from Dimitri. I've really seen a lot of growth with those young guys. And I'm excited about that group. I think you're gonna like what you see, throughout the spring when you're showing the clips, and then when we get to fall camp. Those guys have a high ceiling, so I'm excited for them. They got to keep working. They're still making some mistakes, but it's spring football. That's expected from some of them, and but I'm pleased with their progress.
Adam, Mr. Tiger.
Hey, Coach, hope you're doing well. You mentioned Vontae showing improvement, and Coach Terrell mentioned that he's seen more maturity out of him. You've known him for a number of years now. What's the process been like as a mentor and his position coach to kind of get him, on the right path here?
Yeah, I've known Levante since he was a sophomore in high school. So that's a long time knowing that guy. There's a trust factor between us. I think he trusts me and believes in me, and I trust him and believe in him. And he has a very, very unique skill set. Like his brother LaVisca, obviously we know the kind of athlete LaVisca is. Levante is a really, really natural route runner. He's a better route runner than his brother. And he's got really smooth hands. He's got really good shiftiness to his game. And that's not taking nothing away from Visca. It's just they're two different types of players. They really are. And Levante's his progress over the last couple of years, his maturity, even though he's had some off the field issues, I truly believe that he is maturing as a young man, and I love that kid. I really do. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for his future. He's got a high ceiling for us.
Back to Justin.
Darrin, I was hoping to get your thoughts on Dimitri Stanley joining the track team. It looks like this upcoming weekend he's going to do the 100-meter dash for the first time, joining Mark Perry. Just your thoughts on how beneficial that is for a wide receiver and what it can do to just improve their skills on the football field. And I'm curious, I'm drawing a bit of a blank in years past. Have you had a receiver before that has also ran track?
Yeah, I'm sure Platty would know. Probably not since Probably
I think it was
it was probably
Paul
Ray,
Richardson, maybe.
Paul Richardson, and then I think Ray ran a
Marcus
little bit.
Stiggers, I believe, ran track.
Stiggers ran, yeah. I think I told Dimitri this. I said, at the end of the day, if you want to play this game on the next level, then you got to continue to develop your skill set on the football field. I think running tracks is not a bad thing as long as you're gonna score some points for the track team. But I always mess around with Dimitri. I said, what? I said, I need you to run like you ran against Stanford every single practice, because sometimes he turns it on, he turns it off, and he teases us with his speed, but he's got really good straight line speed. Dimitri's a veteran guy with us, and I'm okay with that. I know Coach Terrell's okay with that too.
And Brian Howell.
I've got a couple for you if Plotty allows it. I want to ask you first off about JT Shrout. There's been a lot of talk about Brendan Lewis so far this spring, but JT has had some experience, obviously, at Tennessee and actually been a starter in a game. What have you seen out of him so far? Obviously, he's learning a new offense, but can you talk about kind of what you've seen out of him?
Yeah, he's got a natural quarterback savvy about him. He really does. Like when I listen to him in the huddle, when I watch his presence on the field, he has a natural savviness to him about playing the quarterback position. Really accurate, very strong arm. I think him and B. Lou have been, going back and forth each and every day. It's been a really good, watching them compete on the field. They're really good teammates to each other. I think JT, I feel really good about that room with JT, B. Lou, Sam Neuer, Drew Carter. I think we've done a really good job of upgrading and getting better there. So I feel confident that the spring practices and the fall camps really, you don't know until we start playing, right? I mean, that's the thing about playing quarterback. You don't know until live scrimmages, until live spring games, fall camp, scrimmages, but I'm excited about it. I think JT's shown some really good things in practice.
Then just a second question for you. Coach Terrell has mentioned a few times this offseason about really wanting to tweak the offense to where he thought it was kind of vanilla last year as far as movement, motions, things like that. Christian Gonzalez the other day was telling us there's a lot of differences in the offense. What are your thoughts on what you guys have done with the offense? And
I think to kind of hit on me and Coach Terrell talked about this at length. I think last year it was very different because we didn't have a spring football, right? And so we had 25 days to get ready to play a game, and then you're playing, right? So I think what we've been able to do as an offensive staff is do a lot of self-scout evaluation, what we did well, what we maybe struggled with, okay, how we can improve that maybe with some things offensively, some tweaks. I like where we're heading with this thing. At the end of the day, there's obviously different ways to skin a cat, right? So for us, we're trying to maximize, our potential with our personnel. It still goes down to personnel. What personnel do you have for what kind of offensive system you can run? So that's what's good about having spring ball. We have a chance to truly evaluate. And last year we didn't really get that, even though I'd been here. I think with Coach Terrell being new and here, he didn't know our personnel. And so we'd go back and forth with conversations, but we've had a lot of time, since going through that 6-game schedule to kind of self-scout, evaluate, and see how we can improve the offense. And shoot, at the end of the day, it's about scoring points and winning football games. So I like where we're going with this thing.
And Henry Chisholm.
Hey, Coach. Brady Russell got off to a hot start last year, but obviously the injury kept him off the field the rest of the way. What have you seen so far from him in camp this spring?
Yeah, he's working himself back in. He's been doing routes on air and some things, getting himself back to 100%. But I like where he's worked hard to get back going. We're still kind of, holding him on some things, but obviously we saw the type of player he was in camp, and we saw him early on against UCLA. He was a dominant player in that game for us. So, we need Brady back 100%, and he's headed that way.
And the last one from Yoel.
Hey, Chev, what are you looking for from Friday's scrimmage?
Honestly, we've done a really good job of putting our installations in. I want to see them just be confident and play fast, obviously, execute, but I'm excited to see the quarterbacks play. Obviously Sam's not going this spring, so I'm excited to see B. Lou and JT and those other quarterbacks get reps and see them execute the offense. I'm excited to see, Ashad Clayton, get touches. I'm excited to see these young tight ends, compete. But at the end of the day, you really want, the whole thing about spring is you want to install your systems. You want to obviously execute, in these live scrimmages, and then see them play. Let's see who can play football. That's really where you get a true evaluation.
And I guess Brady ran off and my guy missed him. So we got Maurice Bell subbing in. So can you talk about Maurice?
Yeah, Maurice, has worked really hard this off season. He's been a little bit limited just of late, but he, he's worked hard in the weight room. He's worked hard, obviously in the off-season conditioning program. And so he's been a little bit limited the last couple of days, but I'm excited to see him take the next step this year as well.